So we've been showing you how there's been a lot of attacks against protesters in Donald Trump's rallies. First, a Latino guy was beat up as the crowd chanted USA. And then we had a black guy who was protesting on behalf of Black Lives Matter. He was beaten up and rough-housed, I guess is one way of putting it. But that's putting it lightly. And another woman was slammed to the ground, another Trump event, goes on. And here we go again. Now, this time, it's going to be a weird quasi-celebrity, but I guess that could also describe Donald Trump, who's a supporter of Donald Trump, who's going to go into the crowd and attack a couple of the protesters. Now, the articles say that he body slammed them. You're going to see now, he clearly assaults them. Luckily, it's not that bad. The guy at the end is smiling. But let's show you the video, then I'll tell you who it is and why it's still terribly wrong. Let's watch.
USA, 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 USA.
Okay, now that was when Donald Trump was talking about how one of the local papers in New Hampshire had endorsed Christie. So that's why I didn't understand why Christie was in the crowd supporting him. Okay, fine, that wasn't Christie. That was Todd The Punisher Poulton. He's apparently a job description I heretofore did not recognize existed. Self-described celebrity boxer. Now, but wait. Understand what that means. He's not a celebrity who boxes. He is a boxer who boxes washed-up celebrities. That's a job? Okay, fascinating. Unsurprisingly, he supports Donald Trump. So he has, in the past, taken on Jose Canseco. When Canseco was desperate for money, he took on former heavyweight champion James Bone Crusher Smith. And I don't know what happened in those matches. I have no idea, and I don't care at all. So he's got this giant green tattoo on his face. I don't know if that's because he's Irish. I don't know what he is, right? And normally I like nicknames, but when you have a quasi-fascist running for president and he has people that are supporting him called the Punisher, and they go assault people in the crowd who disagree with him, a little uncomfortable. Okay. Now, it could have been worse, I guess, because the cops actually got there in time to stop him from punching one of the guys involved. But there's a reason why there's security and police. You can't just attack protesters. And while vigilantes are doing that and calling themselves the Punisher, Trump can't now start the chant of USA, USA, USA. That's crazy. That's crazy. How is that guy not arrested? I don't understand. Time and time again, people in the crowd in Trump rallies assault people on tape. It's the most obvious thing in the world, and nobody ever arrests them. No, you don't get to assault those people. There is security and police who can escort them out. Yeah, we understand they can't interrupt forever. They made their point, and then security's going to take them out. But you can't jump in there and start throwing punches and push people. By the way, of course, the so-called Punisher, who's the main person he punished? It was an elderly man that he knocked over in the scuffle. Of course! Okay, now, that's the main story. But I watched just a little piece of the speech before this incident and after this incident. Once again, I'm flummoxed as to how anybody above the age of 7 could find this guy appealing. Listen to the first part of his speech.
There are certain words to describe what's happening with our country. And I used to say we're incompetently led. I gave up the word incompetent because it's really not good enough. What's the word we use? Stupid. Stupid.
I thought for a second that he was going to come up with a better word. He said, incompetent, not good enough. I was like, oh, really? What are we going to go for here? Better than incompetent? No. Worse. Stupid. Yeah, that's what, incompetent, too fancy. I understand you schmucks didn't understand it. You know what he is? Stupid. And the crowd roars, yeah, they're stupid. They're stupid, not us. They're stupid. They applauded. They applauded. What children? I'm not sure third graders would have applauded. Maybe. I mean, I know like kindergarten kids. Hey, he's not incompetent. He's stupid. And he farts. And the kids would laugh, right? Third graders, you're on the fence. Okay, now, but don't worry. He's going to save the country, it turns out. This is the ridiculously oversimplistic ending to that speech.
The American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it bigger and stronger, more powerful, more beautiful than ever. More beautiful than ever.
Oh, why didn't you tell me that from the beginning? Oh, well, then, of course, I'm on your side, because the American dream is going to be bigger and stronger. And it's going to be gorgeous. Almost like his daughter. You know, he keeps saying how he'd like to sleep with his daughter if she wasn't his daughter. It's going to be as beautiful as my hot daughter, you know what I'm saying? That's how hot the American dream is going to be. Please don't talk about America like she's a lady that you're interested in dating. And I can't believe Republicans gave Michelle Obama crap over, this is the first time I've been proud of my country. This guy keeps calling America dead. He's like, America's dead. America's miserable. It's a mess. It's a disaster. And the Republicans who claim to love America are like, yeah, America's a disaster. That's awesome. America's a mess. America's dead. No, you're not supposed to cheer that. You were supposed to be on the other side of that debate. But these are the guys who give wild applause at, they're stupid. So I guess we can't be surprised at anything.